Alright guys, that's Kremp again today. Hope you're doing that and enjoying your day so far. Yes, there were $1.8 million on the line at the Esports World Cup, but Shotzzy reckons it could be a serious shambles. Not just are apparently the control spawns changing based on the servers the pros join into, but he reckons the game could be totally unwatchable because Codcaster is completely broken in this version of the patch, and we might be watching the championship with no minimap right back to the dark ages. What's going to happen in a few days' time? Is it the Esports World Cup's fault? Is there anything that the CDL or Activision can do to fix this in time? Why is Call of Duty always in such a shambles? And as a result of this, if the teams want to make decisions based on their results of the World Cup, can they feasibly do it? Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Plenty to get into today. As we know, TJ's going to be on the Falcons for the World Cup. He joined instead of Priester, but he's on the SMG and Xnid is on the Flex. Pred, TJ, Xnid, Arcetes, that's their team of four. Capsidal was in the league again this season. He came onto the Cloud9 team. Then they got rid of him for Gwyn, but we think he might be at the World Cup with 5 fears. So that was the next team down the rankings of challenges that didn't qualify for the World Cup, but because the Ravens got disqualified, then Capsidal is joining that team instead of aBeZy and will be competing. I will just quickly say, I'm a little bit unsure why none of this has been finalised or confirmed yet, right? Because we would expect maybe by now, I forget the timeline of it last year, but we're only just over a week away from the World Cup and we have no groups set yet. And I don't know if this is anything to do with this whole Ravens disqualification, but like, you know, they not confirmed that officially, have they? The only confirmation that we have is from, well, Slasher on stream saying that he thinks they're not going. Brian Saint says that they didn't get the email. And then we had Afro crashing out because he was like, well, you know, we tried, but they're rejecting us because we made more than one change. Which was unfortunate, maybe, but, you know, was it the Ravens' fault for not doing the right thing? You know, at the end of the day, it's not a coincidence that Ravens the only organisation that had issues with this, given historically they've been, like, the worst run organisation in the league. But, I don't know, like, is there anything more to this, right? Because you would have expected, maybe, this was talked about now several days ago. It's basically a week ago now. We were hearing from, you know, all parties that Ravens were disqualified, but yet Ravens have officially said nothing on it, and the Esports World Cup has officially said nothing on it, and we don't yet have groups. So, I don't know. Maybe there's more to it than meets the eye. Intrigued to your thoughts in the comments. I don't expect Ravens to get magically reinstated, but, you know, I'm sure that there were emails fired off back and forth anyway. Hexa talks about the following. They've done a bit of a roundtable. Hex, well, Scump's on the left-hand side, I can't quite see him. This is Dashy and Mercules, and then, you know, they have all the boys there. You've got Huke and Shotzzy as well. So, you know, I'll just bring it up on the big screen so you guys can see the duo. There you go. Now, will there be a duo for too much longer? It's been a talking point. We'll discuss it more later on today, but they're talking about the whole year. We'll see, won't we, right? Because on Wednesday, they're going to drop this episode discussing everything that's happened. I'm definitely going to be tuning in. Whether anything, you know, let's say crazy revelation is going to get spoken, I guess we'll see about that. But it's going to be an interesting piece of content regardless. There was also another talking point kind of related to this as to what the situation could be with FaZe. And as we're going to talk about with the World Cup here in a second, the World Cup is in an interesting spot because if it is a shambles and the game is broken and the Codcaster is a disaster and the control spawns are whack and you can't play the game on the latest patch update with CDL, with non-CDL accounts. I will say, by the way, this whole shambles is very interesting because let's not forget the Esports World Cup, while it's not an official Call of Duty event, they are an official sponsor of the Call of Duty League. They're one of the only 3 sponsors we have. It's Scarf, who've been around forever, it's Monster, who joined halfway through the season, and it's the Esports World Cup. Like, that's it for the CDL when it comes to sponsors. But the World Cup have sponsored the CDL, they've supported the CDL, you would expect maybe them to get something in return. Okay, yeah, we know that without the CDL accounts, if you want to play on the public servers and stuff that the World Cup tends to do because it's not an official CDL tournament, then yeah, we know that it's a bit broken. We'll speak to the devs, we'll make it work. Maybe that did happen, maybe the devs just don't care. But it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? When you've got the World Cup, $1.8 million on the line and potentially in a real difficult spot. Now, the implication of that is that if the game is pretty broken, if it seems kind of unplayable, I don't know. We'll see what happens when they get out there, of course, and how the tournament goes. But if the fans are going to say, well, single elimination, there's all these issues, it's a bit of a Mickey Mouse tournament, what do the pros think about it? Because the pros have to make their decisions on their roster choices for next season to some extent based on what happens at the World Cup, mainly because of what happens at the World Championship. But I will say it's interesting because last year FaZe won the World Cup. As a result, they stuck together. This year, even if FaZe do win it, you know, would they stick? They made that mistake last year, you might argue, and maybe it wasn't a mistake. They came into this year, they won 2 more events back to back, but then at Champs they were still top 6. So I would be surprised if FaZe stick whatever happens at the World Cup. But let's say they win the World Cup, but the tournament is a bit shambolic, it's a bit Mickey Mouse, or whatever happens, the teams may not feel confident making a decision based on that. Now, according to BenJ, I wasn't watching his stream last night, but apparently he was talking about the contract situations, because Simp and aBeZy have supposedly 1 year left on their deal, whereas Drazah and Cellium are going to be free agents in the off-season. So that is pretty interesting, right? Now, I will say, if Simp wants to leave, if aBeZy wants to leave, you're not going to be able to keep those players there. There will be teams that want to buy him. There will be an agreement to be had. So it's not, I don't expect FaZe. If Simp wants to go, if aBeZy wants to go, I don't see a world where FaZe are successful in holding them hostage, as it were. It's almost always a bad idea to do so. What is interesting, though, is that Drazah and Cell are free. Now, I think Ben was also saying that he would not be surprised at all if Simp, aBeZy and Cellium stay together as a trio. The idea of the entire team staying together still feels a little unlikely as it stands, but would Simp, aBeZy and Cell do it again and bring in another AR companion? Like maybe they've run that too many times and it's not really delivered the championship success at the end of the year that they were looking for. But Drazah and potentially Cellium free to go, and that's particularly interesting, right? I mean, for both Drazah and Cell, and for Simp and aBeZy, but maybe for Cellium especially, you know, to me, FaZe and Cellium feel like inseparable, right? Like, I can't really imagine Cell ever playing for an organization that isn't FaZe, and I kind of don't expect him to, but I don't know. We know that the Falcons exist. There are other teams that exist as well. Maybe Ravens, Boston are going to get bought out by some other franchise. Maybe there's some more Saudi money coming in. We'll see, right? But when a player like Cellium potentially is available for free, and even Drazah as well, it's going to be difficult for teams not to try and have those conversations, which is why I look at it and I'm like, it's just tough to imagine that that team is going to stay together, even if they do win the World Cup, because there's just so many things that potentially could pull this trio apart. But it probably does depend on what happens over the next couple of weeks. But as I say, maybe that is related to how important the World Cup feels when the players get out there and realise that it could be a bit of a mess. So Shotzzy, and obviously everyone's been scrimming for this tournament, they're playing on the brand new patch update, or at least the latest one that's available on the public servers. Now, maybe the World Cup could have gone back to an older patch, but that caused problems because you've got amateur players there as well. And I think without the CDL accounts and the CDL servers, you're not really able to do that. So they're kind of forced into playing on the latest patch, and it has various issues. It's quite different to the patch that was played on. I mean, I'm thinking back to like Major 2, we're playing on this same patch. Major 3, Major 4, the World Championship. The Jackal is now nerfed, but they've changed the GAs around, the aims, and they changed the control spawns quite a lot. But even Shotzzy says that based on the server that you play, as it was a couple of years ago, the control spawns appear to be a little bit different, so it's introducing a level of randomness that the pros would certainly not want. The thing that I'm concerned about from a viewer perspective is purely how we're actually going to watch this damn tournament, because everyone knows that this patch update, and frankly every patch update this season, has got worse and worse and worse every single stage when they've done a patch in terms of Codcaster. It's broke. I mean, I can't believe it, really. It's bad enough as it is. The patch that we used for Champs, the numbers still don't work properly. You're tuning into a second round of control and it says everyone's like 1 in 2. It's like just such a joke. I can't believe that newer audiences, we had the most viewers ever for the World Championship this year. There will have been a lot of people who tuned into Champs, the COD Champs, for the first time ever. That was their first ever experience watching a competitive Call of Duty tournament, and they saw a crowd that was maybe lackluster because the tournament was in the middle of nowhere. And then they saw a Codcaster which doesn't even work properly because the numbers don't add up. Like, I think as a COD fan, you kind of get used to it because you recognise that it's not exactly the greatest competitive product you're ever going to see. But it is a complete shambles, in my opinion. Like, shambolic is, you know, I like to use that word. But it really is. Like, you got to think about it from the perspective of a new fan trying to watch this scene and think, damn, this whole scene's a complete mess, right? They can't even get the codcaster right. And then we go from that to the fact that it's actually just got even worse. It literally has got worse in the last few patch updates to such a degree that if you try and go to Codcaster, your game will just crash. So, and even if you can somehow get in, it's still a nightmare. So the question that Shotzzy's raising is, okay, how are we even going to watch this damn tournament?
Yeah, bro, you know what's crazy? Bro, have you ever played a game like this where the control spawns are different based on the server that you play?
No, what?
MW2.
Wait, MW2 had different spawns based on the server you were on?
Bro,
I swear at one point I did.
Bro,
maybe after I retired.
Bro, we played them, and they were completely different spots to what we were originally playing. I was mind blown.
But you guys are playing on like this version, right?
Yeah, we're playing on this version, but like
we're supposed to.
on
The
control.
game like still fucked up?
In what way?
Like, isn't Codcaster like fucked
Oh
up?
yeah, that's just fucked.
So how the hell are we gonna watch the tournament?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think we're gonna have Codcaster or not Codcaster. Fucking Minimap maybe.
What?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what other way.
No. What? What do you?
There's gonna be kills.
No minimap.
So when Shotzzy suggests no minimap, I guess the implication is that we might be watching in spectator mode, right? So now, oh my god, if we actually are, it's such a joke. There's so many interesting things about this because it's like, well, hang on a second. Surely a conversation could have been had with the developers to say, hey, you know, the World Cup's coming up. We've got to fix this, right? We've got to put some resources on this. It doesn't seem like Activision or the developers or the decision makers really care about that. I want to believe that they are working on it, but it's like, look, lads, we've only got a few days here. We've got to roll a patch update out right about now, and it's probably going to be broken as well. Like, imagine they roll a patch update 2 days before the World Cup, and it fixes Codcaster, but it breaks something else, right? Which it probably will. And then what do you do at that point, right? So even if there is some optimism around this, it's so interesting. I mean, back in Black Ops 2, the Codcaster we had in that game was like a small screen for the actual map, and then they had everything outside of it. It was the first ever version of Codcaster. It wasn't great, but it was pioneering. Before that, we used to have to watch competitive from individual players' POVs. We would, you know, go into the game, we'd go into spectator mode, and we would flip between each player's POV. And, you know, this was real Dark Ages type stuff before the esports got a little bit more serious, starting with Treyarch and Black Ops 2. But before that, that's how you had to watch competitive. And, you know, there wasn't really a minimap option. There wasn't really the ability to see where the other team was. Like, literally, if you wanted to have a 1v1 in search, you had to change teams and then spectate the other guy, right? Like, that's the type of stuff we're dealing with. And here we are at one of the, you know, biggest esports festivals, the biggest esports festival in the world, with $1.8 billion on the line, and we're talking about potentially going through something similar. So it's real, I mean, it's absolutely, like, disastrous, really. Now, I do agree with the perception that this isn't necessarily the World Cup's fault, right? There's plenty of reasons why it's, you know, not necessarily their fault. I will say what probably is their fault, is not doing a double elimination bracket, which I think most of us would like to see. And it's not necessarily going to be their fault if people look at the tournament in hindsight, if these issues are true, and they say, yeah, well, it wasn't really that meaningful. At the end of the day, the money's still going to hit the bank accounts of the players that win. But whether, you know, they will take it as serious with these issues and whether the fans can take it as serious with these issues is a big question that needs to be asked. So very much interested to your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care. And I'll see you next time.
Excited, man. Oh,
Wait, what?
Yeah. Wait, nah. Yo, Clay's in New York. Yo, I don't remember this shit. What?
Wait, actually.
This is insane.
Way. Oh my.
This is a checkout.
Oh my.
Yo, and Kyler's in LA. What? Yo, I'm mind blown. What? I didn't even realize that. What the fuck?
My God.
guys.
On a serious note, where's the? Can I change the picture though? Like on
Yeah,
mine?
Wait, you don't like yours?
Bro, I look bald in that one, dude. I literally have no hair.
bro, that's so sick. Dude. Our pictures are gonna be in the game.
Bro, what?
I'm gonna mess with